first thing you do to make your pastel candy cane is you take the template of the candy cane and trace around it. Now that it's traced, we need to put the stripes in, and you have to put them in a certain way so it will turn out 3D. So if you look here at the bottom, you kind of have a curve. You don't want to make a ton of curves or stripes. If you do that, then it will just take you too long. So we're going to start, and we're going to kind of mimic this one. Make a stripe and go up, make another stripe about the same width. You're going to keep going. When you get to the curve, you're just going to keep curving it around, same direction. Like so. Now if you look, I have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 stripes. I would keep it about that, 7 to 9 stripes, and that way you won't be here forever trying to get your oil pastels on. Next thing you do is you take your white pastel, and if there's some color on it, I would just scrape it off. All right, so take your white pastel, and in the middle of your candy cane, you're going to just go back and forth, really close together. And it's okay if you smear right on your pencil. All right, don't just quickly do that. You want to do it really close together up the middle. Now, you won't really be able to see it very well unless you kind of move it around in the light, and then you can kind of see that you're putting white on there. Make sure you do it down or up the whole candy cane and around the curve and to the end. Now, an important thing so we don't make a huge mess on the floor, your pastels are going to flake off. If you can kind of see, they've flaked off a little bit. I just have my kids kind of gently brush it off and tap it onto the table, not the floor. Okay, so just brush it off gently, tap it onto the table, and then you can take your hand on the table and scrape it into your hand and put it into the garbage, because Mike will not be happy with us if we have pastels all over the floor and then people step on them and grind them into the floor. So just gently wipe off your little flakes and kind of keep a pile of them, and then you can scrape them into your hand and put them in the garbage. Now, next thing you want to do is you want to choose a pastel that has a darker with a lighter. So a lot of kids will do red with pink, because that's a darker, and then a lighter version. A lot of them will do the dark green with the light green. In our pastel box, there's not a lot that have a darker and a lighter. You could also do like a pink, and then we have a lighter pink. So if there's another color that you would like to do, I tell my kids to do one really lightly and then the other dark, and I will show you that in a minute. But let's start with, I'm just gonna do red and green. So I'm going to start with my pink. Start with your lighter color and kind of look where your white is and go over about halfway over your white, not all the way. You need to keep a stripe of white, and then about halfway on this side. Make sure you're going into your white a little bit, and you're not going all the way to the edge. This lighter one just is the middle part, and make sure that you keep your white in the middle. Then I'm going to take my darker color, my red, and I'm going to color this part in, and I'm going to go over my pink just a little bit, so you're just overlapping. I'm overlapping. You also, if you go outside the lines just a little bit, that's okay, because we're actually going to cut these out. So if you go out just a little bit, that's okay. So I suggest that you do all the lighter first, go up the whole thing light, and then come back and do your whole dark light, or your whole dark on the outside second. All right, and then I'm going to quickly do a green, so I'm going to take my light green. I'm going to do the same thing, go a little bit into my white. Make sure that you're not doing this. All right, you need to make sure that you do it nice and thick. You're not showing a lot of white spaces. And then I'm going to take my green. Now, one problem that kids run into every year is they forget what their pattern is, and then they accidentally do two. So they would like accidentally do two greens in a row. Then you can just kind of save it by doing two pinks in a row or whatever. But to avoid that, when you have your light pink, I would do one light pink, skip one, do the other light pink, even if it's just a little bit, so I can remind myself, then skip one, do a little bit light pink, then skip one, do a little bit light pink. That way I don't accidentally do the wrong color. Okay. All right, let me show you. If you wanted to do blue, we don't have a light blue. So if you wanted to do blue, you would just do, and I'm still filling it in, I'm just not pushing as dark. And then on the outside, I would push a lot darker. So lighter on the inside one. And then a lot darker on the outside one. Right, you're going to do that for each one of these before you go to the next step. So make sure your whole candy cane is filled in before you go to the next step. The next thing we're going to do is blend it. So you're going to take you're going to take your white again. And you're going to start in the middle of your white. And you're just going to go in between your white and your pink. And you're going to push really hard. And that blends it together. So just between your white and your pink. And you don't have to go all the way on the pink. Just on the white part and the pink part. When you have finished that, then you're going to go between the red and the pink part and do the same thing. Now you're just using your white as a blender tool. like so. All right, and you're just gonna blend until it looks good to you. But make sure you keep the white down the middle. That's what's gonna show you the 3D effect. All right, and so now like my green, I'm gonna go in between the green and the white, and I'm just using this to blend. So the edges aren't quite so hard. Then I'm gonna blend there. Like so. And then let's look at the blue and see what it looks like. So if I blend the light blue, then I can blend the dark blue. Like that. And remember, just brush off your little bits. Okay. And then when you're finished, it's really hard to see on here, but when you're finished, it will look 3D because it has this white in it, and then these are all blended together. So let me see if I can find it to show you. All right, this is one that one of my kids did. So when it's finished and we cut it out, it looks rounded and 3D. That looks really cool. So good luck.